सनी ये का टेबल के नीचे देखो करने की बड़ी टेबल के नीचे देखो। हां लाओ पटना हम नहीं बताते
चलो बैठो इधर देखो इधर बैठो हो गया
बुलाओ अपने के साथ
आठ दिन हमको पता नहीं बातें करी
लेकिन ये बहुत यार हम मीटिंग में है एक हफ्ते से हमारी कॉन्फ्रेंस हो गई क्या यस श्योर हम लोग शेयर mediation going to be प्रचार कर दो कौन किस थोड़ा और आगे वाले ना हो तुम ऊपर ना बैठिए हमको पता नहीं था जब आप उधर जाएंगे तो जुडिशियल कैडर में चले जाएंगे आइए मैडम नहीं उधर
अच्छा इस पे तो कुछ नहीं लिखा है
इस पे कुछ नहीं लिखा
इस पे कुछ नहीं लिखा है इस पे
जैसे बैठिए बस इसीलिए आप लोग अभी आप लोग एथिक्स पढ़ के आए हैं एथिक्स पढ़ी नहीं कुछ नहीं लिखा तो इसमें कुछ नहीं लिखा हुआ आपका हाई कोर्ट पे कुछ नहीं लिखा हुआ आपका हाई कोर्ट लिखा हाई कोर्ट का झंडा भी लगा हाई कोर्ट का tomorrow will be tomorrow it will not be
इस समय पे ये फोटो लगी अच्छी फोटो
हम भी नहीं समझ पाए पता नहीं कि दोबारा
हो जाएगा ना
समझ लीजिए आप
ये बड़ा जरूरी लोगों को
मेरे फ्लैग में नहीं चल रही थे हमारे छोटे सारी लगी थी और कॉमिक्स में जो नोट बोर्ड आती थी वो बहुत सारे पढ़ते थे हम लोगों ने अच्छे
The chief guest of today's function, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay, Honorable Mr. Justice A.R. Masoodi, Chairman of the Mediation Committee, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh, Member of the Mediation Committee are here. I will request Mr. Ramraj, Joint Secretary of the Organizing Committee, to escort the Honorable Judges to the dais. And I request the Honorable Judges to please take their seats on the dais. Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay, Honorable Mr. Justice A.R. Masoodi, and Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh. Mediators, trainers, members of the registry, members of UP Salsa, ladies and gentlemen. We have had a very invigorating and enriching experience of 40 hours training in mediation under the aegis of MCPC. It was really a new dimension to the old techniques which we have imbibed and practiced for the last 15 years. Now we have the skills to assimilate the old with the new and become better mediators. From perception to presumption, understanding conflict, the concepts of mediation, the stages of mediation, role of mediators, and how communication is the soul of mediation, how negotiation and bargaining is to be done, and how impasse has to be resolved, and the various ADR processes, all has been successfully revisited by all of us under the able guidance of the master trainers, senior trainers, and the potential trainers. So before we go ahead with this program and hear the views on mediation by honorable judges and honorable trainers, I request Mr. Shishir Jain, Member Organizing Committee, to please present a bouquet to the honorable chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay. I request Mr. Boli Srivastava, Member of the Organizing Committee, to greet our chairperson with a bouquet. I request Ms. Ruby Siddiqui, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh, with a bouquet, and welcome him in today's function. The trainers have really done a wonderful job all this while for the last 8 years. They have listened to our queries, to our honorable committee and honorable judges. So first I request Mr. Surendra Singh, who is a senior trainer from MCPC, to share his views. Mr. Surendra Singh.
My friends, my co-traders, very good afternoon to all of you. Guru ma'am has asked me to give some suggestions, though we have been dealing on with the issues since last 8 days. And the first day when I joined your company, it was like that we had a connection since way back. And that was proved today. We earned so many good friends out here. And we learned a lot from you also. And on the part of the suggestion, my lords, we can go away with the annexes which are to be signed by the parties during the mediation, form C and D like that, wherein the parties have to sign all the 22 points, because it's make them more cautious, we say, and they hardly voluntarily participate during the mediation while they divulge that particular information during the inaugural part of that mediation process. So, my gratitude to all the members, and welcome to the mediation family. You already are the members. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Now I request Mrs. Anuja Saxena, she is also a senior trainer from MCPC, to share her views.
Greetings of the day to one and all. Respected Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh, sir. Respected Honorable Mr. Justice A.K. Masudi, sir. Respected Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay, sir. Madam Bulbul Gudyal, Organizing Secretary, learned trainer and dear participant. First of all, I congratulate all of you on the completion of your 40 hours mediation training program designed by MCPC. And this is my heartiest congratulations to all of you, because I know all of you are very good and seasoned mediator. I think after having the 8 days discussion with all of you, we have improved our knowledge, and I think you also have improved your knowledge as well. So this was the sharing of knowledge, both sides. We cannot say we were trainer, even as a trainer we learned a lot from all of you. Your devotion, your dedication was amazing, and we learned a lot from all of you, first. Secondly, I just wanted to share with all of you that in mediation, you are sharing the pain of the parties. So be humble, be polite, and there is role of spirituality in mediation. If you all will agree with me, being the part of this mediation family. Isn't it? There is role of spirituality in mediation, and that is nothing but once you are sitting in mediation, sit with all your spirit, with your full dedication. Then again I will say, because you are sharing the pain of the parties. See? Thirdly, I just wanted to share here that once you will enjoy the mediation, you should be passionate about it. Like I would say, I am passionate about mediation. If I am 100 of work and it's a day for me for mediation, then that is one of the priority for me. Once I have to choose any one of them, I will go for mediation. And for the same, I always say there is a very big poem which I always remember when I am joining in my mediation center. That is, woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have a promise to keep. Miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. So these are your commitment with the process and with the system. And the system where we can see now mediation is one of the part of justice delivery system. Now it's an integral part of justice delivery system. So we cannot take a casual approach for mediation. Now we all are trained, more than trained mediator. We know we are having a lot of experiences on this. I discussed during the discussion, sir, I just wanted to share with the dignitaries over here that there is need of virtual mediation as well. So I will request that we should have one program for virtual mediation. Because if the parties are in remote areas, then also we can connect with the parties. So for the same, there is need of video conference mediation, and we will learn about some of the applications are very good available where we can have the meeting with the parties. So other than this, I just want to share with you that this was a enriched experience, and we enjoyed this training program, and we thanks organizing secretary as well as all the members who organized this. It was a good hospitality. We enjoyed throughout 8 days. Myself as well, my sport trainer and all the participants as well. So thank you very much, and I hope and I wish this type of program should organize, at least awareness program in 2 or 3 months. These are my suggestions, sir. These 2 suggestions. I request dignitaries to please consider to have video conference program as well as an awareness program after 3 months, so that we can better improve ourselves. Because this is not only 40 hours training will complete and then we will become good mediator. We are learning a lot with each other. We are discussing our problem. We are discussing, sharing our matters with each other. Because there is no straight jacket formula for mediation. Will you agree with me? So every time we are learning from our different types of matter, then we are sharing in our training program. So thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. I hope and I wish your center should do, instead of 40% success rate, to 75% success rate. Next time when I will come, it should be 75%. Then I will be able to training. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh Singh, sir, and Mrs. Anita Saxena. Really, you have given us the best of training as per the guidelines of the MCPC. We have enriched ourselves with this training, though we were earlier also trained by the master trainers from all over the country. But the earlier training assimilated with the new training has given us new dimensions. And definitely we will request the Honorable Committee to help us with this virtual online mediations, because right now it's in a stage of infancy. Though we are doing 1 or 2 matters where we will be using the video conferencing and virtual online resources, but it has to be more efficient. Now I request Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh, an esteemed member of our Honorable Committee, to share his views on mediation. Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh.
Honorable Justice D.K. Upadhyay, Honorable Justice A.R. Masudi, Madam Kotul Gudiyal, Secretary, Organizing Committee of Mediation Center, Master Trainers who have been here for almost 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, and spent a lot of time with you people. The persons from registry, officers from registry, PMC, senior registrar, SALSA officers, and mediators who have taken training from the very learned and esteemed, knowledgeable master trainers. It's difficult in a scorching heat to bear 2 decades. So you have to bear us, you bear us in the court, you have to bear us here for some time. So organizing secretary has been very considerate. If I see the program, it's only 5 minutes. So you don't have to bother that I will take much of your time. So I will be as short as possible, because I know it's more lunch time and you must be all feeling hungry. And I have seen that steaming lunch is late outside, just outside the auditorium. The Indian Constitution, in its preamble, has set out certain goals which are to be achieved by the state, and the state is required to strive for its achievement throughout. those goals are justice. The first goal is justice, which is social, economic, and political. Then second goal is liberty. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. And third is equality of status and opportunity. And fourth is to promote amongst all fraternity. How the goal of justice has been secured through our system, prevailing system, whether we have been successful in achieving the very goal of securing justice to all citizens. It is a matter of case study. I was sitting in second appeal for some time here, and I saw that second appeal of 1980, 1978 are still pending. I mean, if a case remained pending for 40 years in the High Court, certainly we have failed to achieve the very goal of achieving justice to all citizens. Justice delayed is justice denied. The rule of law which Dicey propounded is enshrined, incorporated, ingrained in our Constitution, Articles 14, 16, 15, 16 of the Constitution of India. Speedy justice is also one of the aspects of the fundamental right guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. In a democratic polity and democratic society, if citizens are not secured of getting justice from the court, I must tell you that we are not far from throwing away the very concept of democracy. I was reading the newspaper in the morning. A very alarming speech has been given by the Honorable Chief Justice of India in laying down foundation ceremony of new High Court complex at Srinagar. I will quote. He said, "The expeditious adjudication of dispute is hallmark of healthy democracy. Denial of justice would ultimately lead to anarchy." I am quote. He has further said, "Soon the institution of judiciary would be destabilized and the people will look for extraordinary judicial mechanism." This is none other than the Chief Justice of India who is warning what is the impact of delaying justice. Democracy can survive only when citizens feel that their rights are secured and dignity is protected. If a person agreed comes to the court, but in 40 years he does not get justice, then certainly his rights are not secured and his dignity is not protected. Consider a rape victim whose case is dragged for 15 years. Whether her dignity is secured, it is not secured. One of the major challenges to the protection of rule of law and citizens' rights is inability of the formal justice system to deliver speedy justice to all. In India, formal justice delivery system is not only complex but it is cumbersome and expensive. From the very inception of humanity, I believe there would have been disputes, and dispute will continue till the humanity exists. And therefore, the humans have to sort out their disputes by evolving the mechanism. And this mechanism of mediation is not new. It has been age-old mechanism and has been very successful. Mediation is not only informal, but it is inexpensive and quick also. And it leaves, I think, no wounds amongst the heart and soul of the litigants who get their problems solved through mediation process. So this is very, very important aspect of the mediation. How mediation will be successful largely depends on the personality of the mediator. If you are able to give Midas touch to the people who comes to you, you have some magnified personality, the success of mediation is definitely more and more than a person who is elect lecturer, his personality is not that magnifying. But this is not always true. Lord Krishna failed, will Sangat fail, but success rate when you have that kind of personality is more. If you have a Midas touch, you can give the Midas touch to people. The mediator has to be seen as an impartial person, neutral, knowledgeable, and his approach to justice is total. His commitment should be 100%. And if such a mediator fails, then he must leave it to the Lord that it was not destined to the litigant to solve their problem. With mediation, they have to suffer more. But he will have a sense of satisfaction that he tried best. He acted impartially. He did not leave any stone unturned to see that the problem of which is brought before him or her got solved. But if he fails, then he will have certain satisfaction. In international arena also, I will give one example. There have been many Secretary General of United Nations, but I take name of only one. A very small country is Peru. And from there a diplomat, statesman became the Secretary General of United Nations. His name was Javier Paz de Silva. An accomplished statesman and ace diplomat who had headed the United Nations from 1980 to 1991. See how many problems he solved because of his personality, because of his approach, because of the people seeing him as neutral, impartial, and committed to the community of nations. I will give some of the examples which he solved during his first 5 years tenure. First was United Kingdom and Argentina's war over Falkland. He successfully solved it. When he was talking, somebody asked him about the peace talk which was going on between the UK and Argentina, and both had a very fixed position about the Falkland. He said, he was so hopeful, he said, the patient is still in intensive care unit, but is still alive. So this is the kind of hope he has, and he solved that problem. He secured independence of Namibia. He was instrumental in seeing the end of Iran and Iraq war. He was instrumental in release of American hostages held in Lebanon, and he was also instrumental in peace accord in Cambodia. He secured historical peace agreement in El Salvador, and he was instrumental in withdrawing the Soviet troops from Afghanistan. So this is the kind of accomplishment the person coming from a very small country, I mean it's hardly I think more than the Lucknow division, and he secured so much in international arena. I am sure with this kind of training which you have got from the very learned the master trainers. Our trainers, our mediators will also give Midas touch to the problems which come before them, and they will try to solve the problem. I have exceeded my time limit. I am sorry for it, but excuse me. Thank you so much.
Enlightening view on mediation, not only the fact that justice delayed is amounting to justice denied, and mediation can play a very important role, but also to the very right example of the UN Secretary General, and also in the light of the fact that we have been discussing the Ukrainian and the Russian war of late in our mediation sessions. We are really overwhelmed by the speech that Your Lordship has given. Now I request our Honourable Chairperson of the Mediation Committee, Honourable Mr. Justice A.R. Masoodi, who has been a constant support for this mediation training program, and in his positive way, in his gentle, suave and smiling manner, he has encouraged us to go through this mediation training and has made it possible for all of us. So now I request Honorable Mr. Justice Masoodi to give his speech.
Honorable the Chief Guest, Brother Justice D.K. Upadhyay, Honorable Justice D.K. Singh, my brother colleague on dais, Secretary Organizing Committee and Senior Advocate Bulbul Godiyar, Master Trainers, mediators, members of the registry, members of the mediation center, members of State Legal Service Authority, good afternoon. I am more than happy today because a program which we conceived on the Mother's Day has got accomplished on the Family Day. I have no doubt that this program, this training will mark its success in the days to come. My esteemed brother D.K. Singh has addressed on a serious note, but the mediators express a serious thought on a happy note. When this training program was launched, I had nothing in mind except that the purpose of training is for the reason that we don't have a procedure. And we have experienced that wherever the procedure, handmaiden of justice, was in place, delay was the consequence because it was taken more advantage for delay purpose than delivery of justice. That is how our regular institutions have failed. It is my belief that whatever the level of training may be, it gives you an idea how to evolve procedures of your own and openly, independently, ultimately to achieve the result of success. This was the purpose. I shall be making all my efforts to give importance to this dimension of the mediation, advanced training programs, whatever way they can be organized during this short time, I will make an earnest effort in that direction also. I want that this mediation center has not to be a center for the sake of it, it must be a working center. with the strength of whatever we have, I don't have any doubt that you can acclaim, the self-acclaim can be of acclaim, but I want all of you to be Arjunas. And that is what my effort of this training program is. We all know that it's not, yesterday I was talking to somebody, it's not only a small matter being referred to mediation, it's a larger conflict. Parties come to you, parties have an independent say, you facilitate them to talk to each other. Once the conflict is resolved, more than one case, dozens of cases stand settled. The beauty is that it does not lead to any further litigation. That is a special dimension of mediation. While working in this center, I had my own doubts, but somehow I am now fascinated to work for this. My doubts are standing removed day by day, and I am propelling with new plans and ideas for the growth of this mediation center. My lofty object for this center is, for this institution as a whole is, that let the regular courts not be the filtration process for feeding us with the work. I want this mediation to work otherwise. I want that the mediation be acting as a filtration process for leaving the residual litigation to go to the regular courts. The reason I see very strong in that, lawyers all over the country, we have in lakhs. Judges in the country, we have in thousands. Lakhs certainly can render more result than thousands. Leave less work for the judges so that the fluctuation of strength does not go and adversely affect the judicial delivery system. Have courage. We will slowly and gradually keep on increasing the number of advocates working in this area, and this center shall expand faster than the regular courts. I want more accommodation to be occupied by mediation centers than those time-taking courts where justice delayed is haunting everybody and discouraging to resort to the legal recourse. Many more things are in my mind, but today the time is very limited. The secretary will strike a note of caution, but before she does that, how do I want you to act, and how do I want you to hold those who come for the redressal of their grievances? We are friends. We have to act like friends. How do the friends act? A poet has beautifully said, and I quote, when you are friends, you hold each other's hands. When the hands are held, resolutions are made. These resolutions should be so strong. This determination should be so strong that when you hold the hands, the poet says, हाथों में हाथ पकड़े हुए यूं खड़े थे दोस्त. Friends, हाथों में हाथ पकड़े हुए यूं खड़े थे दोस्त. दरिया को भी गुजरने का रास्ता न मिल सका. These conflicts are the courses of river and ocean. Even if two friends are standing holding each other's hands, the challenges like that of a river and ocean should not be allowed to pass. They should be determined to resolve it without fear and favor. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you, Honorable Mr. Justice Masoodi, for your visionary views on both mediation process and the mediation center at Lucknow. Before I call upon our Honorable Chief Guest to give his blessings and also share his views and experiences of mediation, I only want to make a small I want to give a small information. One is that though mediation is a social obligation, it's a social work for all of us. We have been doing it for the last 15 years. But my request through this dais is that the mediators who are working here and putting in their best efforts, the remuneration is very less. Though we are not working for remuneration, but as Ms. Anuja Saxena also said, it's not totally a pro bono activity. It's a social obligation, but it has to be done with a lot of professional experience and expertise. So the honorable committees, I may make a request here that that has to be looked into. And secondly, another humble request will be that since over the past 8 days we have discussed how references have to be made. So my request to the honorable committee and the honorable judges will be that the honorable judges should also take some training or some refresher course in mediation. Because then the entire essence of the mediation is understood very well. Now I request Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay to please come and give his address. I may just tell you that he was our chairperson, we all know that, and he has always been a friend, philosopher and guide. And whenever we have needed him, he's always there. So over to Mr. Upadhyay.
Justice Masoodi, chairperson of the Mediation and Conciliation Center of this court. Brother D.K. Singh, the other member of the committee, Madam Bulbul Bodial, the organizing secretary, master trainers, the mediators, members of the registry, the members from SLSA, ladies and gentlemen. I have been asked to share my experiences with mediation. I may tell you I have nil. Except for making references, I have not been a part of even a single mediation process. Either as a mediator or even as a counsel for the parties participating in the mediation. Everyone knows I have been part of the same adversarial system of litigation and very enthusiastic proponent. But once, perchance, I was associated with the mediation center, then it was an eye-opener for me. And to that extent, I agree with your organizing secretary. Not training of the judges, but some kind of sensitization should be there. Because what we realize is, what we don't realize is, as judges, the potential of the mediation. मुझे ये बहुत ही खुशगवार जिम्मेदारी दी गई है कि आपके बीच में इस ट्रेनिंग की समाप्ति पर आपका उद्बोधन करूं। आप सभी को पता है कि हमारे यहाँ दीक्षांत समारोह की परंपरा रही है, कॉन्वोकेशन जिसे कहते हैं। तो मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि आपने इस वैलिडिक्टरी सेशन में मुझे बोलने का अवसर दिया ताकि मैं भी अपने विचार को शेयर कर सकूं। Justice D.K. Singh talked about the goals set out in the preamble of our Constitution. In the context of mediation, I would pick up just one word from the preamble, that is fraternity. Why I say so? Because everybody knows about mediation except me. there are primarily two benefits which are propounded while emphasizing the need of mediation. One, of course, is to lessen the burden of the courts on the regular side, but the other benefit, which everybody talks about, you call win-win situation. So that is a step towards achieving the fraternity, which is one of the goals set out by the constitutional framers in our constitution. And then, of course, the Midas touch, of which Justice D.K. Singh spoke about. So these are the benefits. Apart from lessening the burden of the regular courts, the most beautiful thing out of a successful mediation is that both the parties go happy. It is not only that further appeal, second appeal, SLP, this and that, those procedures are abated. Reducing the time in final disposal of the matters, lessening the pecuniary burden on the parties, but both are happy. They go happy with each other's, with holding each other's hands. So that's the most important aspect, or that's the most significant benefit which I can perceive, and that is towards achieving the goal of constitution set out in the preamble that the state shall strive to achieve, to build some kind of fraternity. वैसे भी आजकल सोसाइटी की जो स्थिति है, हमारे यहाँ कोहेशन थोड़ा कम हो रहा है because of so many things, so many disputes, strikes on individual level, on the community level. So कोहेशन बहुत कम हो रहा है. तो उस कोहेशन को बढ़ाने में शायद और इस फ्रेटर्निटी को गोल को अचीव करने में मीडिएशन का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. आप सब जो हमारे मीडिएटर्स हैं यहाँ पे, बहुत दिनों से पेंडिंग ट्रेनिंग थी. ट्रेन तो हैं हमारे मीडिएटर्स, पहले भी काम कर रहे थे और सेंटर हैज बीन वर्किंग सिंस लॉन्ग. दे वर इनिशियली ट्रेन्ड आल्सो, but training as per MCPC mandate, perhaps that wasn't there. We have been trying very hard for a very long time, and ultimately we could succeed to organize this training. And I hope, I trust that mediators, after getting this training, will go more skilled, और इससे mediation center का न सिर्फ success rate बढ़ेगा, but I hope and believe कि वो शिखर पर भी पहुंचे. ऐसी मेरी समझ है. और मेरी as I said, I have the least idea about mediation, but still, as a chief guest, I have been given this responsibility. I would only assure Madam Saxena and Mr. Singh that we will not sleep before we cover the minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Upadhyay.
I don't know your organizing secretary. He has this skill of lifting some ideas from somebody else's head. I was to propose to the mediation committee members and chairperson today about the remuneration part. We all understand, but since it has been proposed by your secretary, so I would second it, and very strongly second. It's not that you are being paid for the amount of work you perform. It's a token amount, and it may not be completely a pro bono thing, but then of course it has that touch of pro bono. Justice Singh talked about, I may repeat, about the Midas touch. So there can't be any Midas touch where there is involvement of money. But still, I personally feel, this is my personal suggestion, and I second the proposal of your secretary, that remuneration should be raised. It should be raised, and should be alright, it's honorary. That's a better word to use. That's a better expression, better phrase to use. honorarium should be increased, not because any mediator need, but to make it a bit respectful. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Upadhyay. I think lawyers are meant to find out what is in the judge's mind. So this is we have taken out from him. Thank you so much for your speech and also for coming and being with us here today. The honorable judges, as and when, whatever the committee decides, we will work accordingly. Though Justice Upadhyay has not been very actively involved with mediation in its inception as a lawyer, but I can tell you all that when he became the chairperson of from the time he became the chairperson of the committee and was associated with the mediation center, he was always very encouraging, and lot of important mediation references have been sent by him. And that is for all the honorable judges sitting on the dais as well as the honorable judges who are not here today, because even in second appeal matters, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh has sent very acrimonious disputes to our center, which we are trying to resolve. When Justice Masoodi has sent us very important mediations, which we are still in the process of resolving, and some have been resolved. So now I think it is time to say a thank you to all the honorable trainers, learned trainers who are here today. So I request our honorable judges to please present a memento to the trainers who are here. First, I request Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay to give a memento to our senior trainers, Ms. Anuja Saxena and Mr. Surendra Singh. Now I request Honorable Mr. Justice A.R. Masoodi, Chairperson of the committee, to give the mementos to Ms. Rajlakshmi Sinha and Mr. Sandeep Saxena. Now I request Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh to give the mementos to Mr. Anup Kumar Srivastava and Mr. Bhaiya Mukesh. He has travelled all the way from Jharkhand, and the trainers, though they are named as potential trainers, but they have done a wonderful job by sharing the knowledge of mediation with us. I am sorry if I faulted in protocol, because I didn't know who trained first and who is the senior amongst all of them, but I just called people by their appearances, that's all. Now I request the Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh to give a memento as a measure of thanks to Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay, our chief guest for today's function. I request Honorable Mr. Justice A.R. Masoodi.
Not for us.
No, for the committee, because of all the support we have got from you. I request Mr. Y.S. Logan to please come and give a memento to Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh. And last but not the least, I request Mr. Yashovardhan Swaroop to give the mementos to Honorable Mr. Justice Alok Mathur and Honorable Mrs. Justice Saroj Yadav in absentia. And I request the Honorable Chairperson and Mr. D.K. Singh to please accept the mementos on their behalf. I may just inform all of you that Honorable Mr. Justice Alok Mathur and Honorable Mrs. Justice Saroj Yadav, they are part of the committee, but today on account of their personal difficulties, they could not be here. So for the last leg of today's function, a vote of thanks, a very short one I will give, but I must make it. So first and foremost, I thank the Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Upadhyay, for being with us here this afternoon, for coming to this valedictory session and sharing his thoughts. I thank Honorable Mr. Justice Masoodi, Chairperson of the committee, for being a positive light in this mediation training, because he has, though he was in Allahabad, he has helped us all through by giving us the necessary guidance, and he was always there with us. I thank Honorable Mr. Justice D.K. Singh, member of the committee, to be here today for helping us in whatever we have done during this training program, for accommodating us in wherever we have made a request, and also guiding us to how to go about them. I also thank Honorable Mr. Justice Alok Mathur and Honorable Mrs. Justice Saroj Yadav, though are not here today, for being a help and guide wherever we have needed them. I thank all the master trainers who have spared their valuable time of these last 8 days and have trained us beautifully to assimilate the earlier training and the new training for us to be better mediators. I thank all the mediators, the learned mediators who have left their court work for the cause of mediation, for their commitment to mediation. They have taken this basic training, which was very essential in view of the directives of MCPC. I thank the Member Secretary Salsa and his team for giving their wholehearted support to this training program. Whenever we have needed them, all his officers have reacted and reached out to us very positively. I thank our senior registrar, Mr. Pankaj Singh, and his team for being there throughout and relentlessly helping us to go through this training program. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank my staff, because they were the backbone of this training. Mrs. Pooja Srivastava, Mr. Sandeep Pandey, Mr. Vaibhav, Ms. Himani, Ankita and Sangeeta. I think all the mediators and trainers have seen that, and yes, a big thank is needed. Thank you all so much. And before we go out for lunch, I think a good photograph of all the trainers, mediators and honorable judges is to be done. But before that, we stand for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय।
Please wait for a minute so that the photograph can be taken and then we can proceed for lunch.
Yes. Yes.